the reason that we kind of wanted to like have this conversation and make sure this was part of Black History Month is because I think it's really important that we as Black students in this kind of environment really get to like talk about how we feel in a really honest and open way without needing to do the whole smiley access, you know, come to Cambridge, it's great kind of thing. And like Cambridge is good in a lot of ways, but it's also not. And I think there's like room for balance and an open discussion about that. So yeah, that's basically why we're here. But I'll throw it out to you guys. A lot of you literally just started like a week ago. How did you feel on your first day walking in? Like any first impressions?
When I first came here, I was like changing like how I was a bit just to try and fit in with everyone, because at the start, most of the people who I met were from like a white background. So I wasn't really like sure like how I was supposed to like act. So I wasn't really like, I think I just felt a bit out of place because I walked through the Great Court and it's just like amazing around there. Like everything is just so big and grand. I was a bit scared at the start, but then the same as you, I started to meet a lot of people. And then even at the BA and ME, like welcome, like reception yesterday, it was really nice having like a space for all of us to speak to each other. So I think it definitely did get better for sure.
First day, when I walked through Great Court, I was a bit scared because I thought maybe everyone here is smarter than me, so like I don't deserve to be here. But after speaking to some of the people, especially my medicine group, I realized that we're all like-minded people. We all like study similar ways. And like, I think I'm gonna fit here quite well, especially because it's a 6-year course, so I need to fit in like, very quickly. So yeah.
I was expecting it to be, you know, very like white, very like posh boy. So, I mean, I didn't have any expectations for it to be like, you know, there to be a good mix of BME people. So like, I've been, you know, going to the BME welcome yesterday, I was like pleasantly surprised by that, like meeting other people. It's been good. So like, the bar was low, so it can only go up from here really. But no, I've enjoyed it so far, yeah.
I think I had a similar thing because I came from a really white school where I was basically the only like Black person in my year. So coming here was actually like a step up.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to you because I grew up in York, which is in the north. So my whole like educational career, I'd been one of, if not the only Black person around. And like towards like sixth form, I started to be kind of vocal about my experiences and stuff, and that kind of led me to have some negative experiences at sixth form when it came to like racism, etc. So when I came here, like I was aware that I was kind of stepping into the same or similar environment again, but I was like kind of determined to like broaden my horizons in a way, like make Black friends for the first time. And I think like on my first day, I was really lucky actually. I met like one of my best friends, and like she was also the only other Black girl in my year, and we're still really close. But then it was weird because following on from that, when I then started getting involved in ACS, which is the African Caribbean Society, I kind of realized like there was this weird thing because it's like I didn't feel Black enough because I hadn't grown up around other Black people. I didn't understand some of the slang, like I'm not from London, all those kind of things. I'm not West African as well, which is, I would think, the dominant Black culture here. So like, it was weird because it was like I entered and I felt like an outsider. Then I found my home, but then still kind of felt like an outsider. But I think now in my third year, it's definitely a place where I feel, I would say, more comfortable than actually being at home, which is really weird. Like sometimes when I go home, I'm like, oh, just kind of want to go back. Do you know what I mean? So I think, I guess that's a positive thing, that I feel really comfortable here now, you know? So rest assured, like, it will be fine.
Yeah, I feel like I can kind of relate to that experience about not feeling Black enough, because for me it's more like appearance-wise because I'm quite light, but like, and I've had people before I came here tell me like, you can't call yourself mixed race, but I literally am mixed race. So like, I was expecting kind of like that when I got here, but it wasn't like that actually. I felt like really accepted by the ACS, but I feel like it's a doubt, like it's a limit I put on myself. Because I'm like, oh, people are going to think this when I go to ACS, but they don't. But it's like, it's my expectation of what they're going to think. But yeah, I feel like I did grow up with all the cultural influence and all of that, but you just can't see it on me. So it's kind of like the opposite of you.
Right.
But like, and also because I'm Caribbean as well, and my dad's Jamaican. So there's not many Caribbeans. We've got like a little group chat going on. We do some link ups, but it's a lot of, most people are West African. So yeah, that was a struggle as well.
Well, it's very strange because I didn't really think about race that much before I started, because I think I very much prided myself on being sort of an academic and an intellectual, and I thought it would just be sort of, I would sort of come to Cambridge and it would be sort of this perfect situation for me. But when I got here, it was a very strange experience, because I found that I'd gotten where I always sort of kind of wanted to go, but at the same time there was this sort of this kind of strange conflict of identity where I sort of felt like I belonged, but I also felt like I didn't belong at the same time. So it's a strange split, and it's made me question and interrogate a lot of things about society and culture, and it's sort of, I think it's really made me a sort of stronger person.
I literally had no idea that I had experienced racism until I was scrolling through The Guardian during all the George Floyd riots, and there was an article about people, black British people and all their experiences. And I was like, is that racism? Because that's happened to me. And it just recalled all these things, like just the most obvious racism.
Yeah, I feel like Britain in general has like a very weird relationship with race. It's kind of like it's a taboo to talk about it, or I feel like Britain feels this thing like, oh, because our racism, wasn't as bad as in America. We didn't have formal segregation that, they tried to conceal the fact that they had slavery here. They just want to talk about the abolition side, and, colonialism was just a thing to, help impoverished nations instead of talking about concentration camps and all those kind of things. It's like Britain hasn't been open about its, history with racism and current racism, which is why when race gets talked about, the knee-jerk reaction from a lot of white people is either to get really guilty and defensive and feel really emotional, or to just be like, oh, you guys just complain about everything, because they don't understand how their own racism is coming across. And I think when you compare how much race is talked about to how much of a big feature it is in our lives, like, imagine like when you're trying to book a girl's holiday and you're like, oh, should we go to Italy? And then you're like, oh, Italy's kind of racist. Like, oh, should we go to Turkey? Oh, no, I know someone who got called XYZ there, And, when, for instance, if you're, looking for a romantic partner or something and you're thinking, oh, does he even like black girls to begin with? Does he even like dark-skinned black girls? Like, these are things that don't cross other people's minds, but like it's an everyday feature of your life. So then when the only conversation that comes up about race is, oh, how many black people are there at Cambridge? Or, that kind of thing. Or, George Floyd or police brutality is an American issue. It's kind of like a slap in the face, because it's like, you really don't see me, like you don't see how I'm living. Because for you, this is just an afterthought. It's something you can like pick up and drop, but like it's my everyday experience. So yeah, I don't think race is talked about enough, but I do fear that, trying to open up the conversations more will just aggravate people who are already aggravated. So it's difficult.
People are very keen to have very performative conversations about like diversity and access and outreach work. But when it comes to the actual like academia side of it, and so I did English and I was quite involved in like the campaign to decolonize the English faculty. But when you want to have conversations about like, okay, so the curriculum that you're teaching us is racist and it's focusing on, like racist writers, or you're not including like black authors, people are very like, oh, but we can't do anything about that because like the academia is just like off limits. We can't talk about that because, and I think it's partially to do with like Cambridge's reputation of like, we do things very traditionally and we're very like old school, but it kind of felt like, yeah, we can talk about racism in this area of uni life, but like the actual like academic side of it, we can't.
When people ask like, is Cambridge racist, that's the main one. It's like, literally don't know what to say to that question, I'm not gonna lie.
The black experience isn't one experience. Like, I know black students who have come here and have fit into, the white society better than they have with other black people, and they've not experienced anything. But I'm gonna roll out my standard answer, because I feel like after thinking about this for 2 and a bit years, my thinking on this is that I think Cambridge is racist, like as in institutionally racist, because the UK is, and Cambridge is in the UK. And I feel like it's I guess naive to assume that you wouldn't experience racism anywhere else, or because of Cambridge's particular history that it has more racism. Like in my own experience, I've not had any like, I guess, overt racism, like interpersonal racism, but I have experienced structural racism and I have experienced feeling out of place. But this happens like everywhere else in the UK. Maybe you just don't hear about it as much. And I think a lot of that comes from my experience of growing up in York. Like I know that this isn't specific to this institution or to this university. And like from going to, you know, work things, you know, graduate schemes, I know it's not specific to this point in my life either. And that's really unfortunate, and it's kind of a sad answer, but I guess it kind of puts things in perspective. I think that's one thing I always try to emphasize to Black students, like, look, don't let that be the thing that stops you applying, because, you know, every day is changing and things are not where they need to be. Like, I think even though it might look good for the university, the increase in Black students as a whole, like we're still only making up 4%. Yes, there's room to improve, but there's room to improve everywhere. So I feel like if you go somewhere and try to do what you can to improve that bit of society, that's the only way we're gonna progress, you know?